How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm going to show you guys how to set up a dedicated server on your local host computer. What this means is I'm setting up a dedicated server on the same computer that I'm already playing 7 Days to Die on. The reason I'm doing this is it's essentially a one-player game on a dedicated server that will allow me to run some mods that can only run on a server. So in this case, this is specific for Mischief Maker, which I will get to eventually on how to set up Mischief Maker for your single player games. This is mostly for streamers out there that want to be able to interact with their audience, want to be able to have their viewers spawn zombies in on them or help them by giving them med kits or whatever. I mean, whatever. The Mischief Maker does a ton of stuff, but it only runs on dedicated servers. So I'm going to take this time to show you guys how to set up a dedicated server on the same PC that you're already playing 7 Days to Die, streaming on it, so that you can take advantage of this awesome extension on Twitch. So the first thing you want to do is go to this website, which I will put all links in the description, so don't worry about it. If you can't read this, or if you pass by it, whatever, don't worry, the links will be in the description. So this is from Valve, from the Fun Pimps, how to set up a dedicated server. Now, you could use this same process if you want to do something on a separate computer and you want to go through all the hassles of port forwarding and everything so you and all of your friends can play. Same process, except you're doing it on a separate computer, and you will set up port forwarding, which there are other videos that tell you how to do that specifically for this purpose. But we're not going to go over that today. Today we're going to go over the very basics on how to set this up. So I'm going to click this Install Steam CMD. It's going to take me over to Steam CMD's page. I'm going to click Windows because I'm using Windows. If you have Linux or Mac OS, you can kind of do the same thing. But I have Windows, so that's what I'm going to do. So you click Windows. It tells you what to do. Create a folder for Steam CMD. So they do recommend you do it right on your C drive. I've already done that. As you can see, I have my Steam CMD on my C drive. So from here, you click this little download link. It'll download a zip file. I can then, let's close this. I can then extract my Steam CMD from the zip file into the Steam CMD folder. We can now close that out. We can go back here to the 7 Days to Die instructions, but we're actually going to keep this up just for a moment because I want to show you guys something. There is when you go to run Steam CMD, it's going to ask you eventually for login info. This is what you want your login info to be. So we're going to stay here for a moment, okay? We're going to start Steam, okay? It's going to open up a command prompt. It's going to install Steam CMD on this folder that we've already created. So this is going to take about a minute or two. I'm going to pause the recording and I will be right back when this is done. All right, guys, I'm back. It's all done. It took about 2 minutes. So it's, be patient. It's going to sit on this extracting package for a little bit. And it's going to seem like nothing's happening, but it is still working. Just wait until you get back to this point. Right now, what you want to do is copy the login, login anonymous, and you want to paste that. It did not copy. I hate when Windows does that. It didn't quite copy everything. So let's try this again. Login anonymous. Okay, so now we're logging in anonymously into the Steam server. This is going to allow us to download the files. So from here, let's go back to the 7 Days to Die portion of all of this, and we are going to copy this command, this force install directory, into the Steam CMD command prompt. So from here, V, I want to make sure all the letters are there. They are. This is going to tell Steam CMD that this is where you want to install your dedicated server. It's also going to create the folder for you. So hit enter. And when we look over here, you can see that there is our 7 Days to Die server, which is going to be, for the most part, empty. I mean, Steam puts a couple of things in there, but no big deal. Okay. Next thing you want to do is now actually download the server files themselves. So the next step to that is you copy this line here. So Control C, go back over to the command prompt, hit Control V, app update. Underscore or app underscore update, and then that number is the Steam ID for the dedicated server file. So I'm going to hit enter. This is going to take a little bit. I'm going to let it download, and I will be back when it's all done. Okay guys, so we are all done. That took a couple of minutes. Just be patient. Again, it is downloading literally the entire game, or copy files for the entire game. So it is going to take a little bit. Once it's done and you get to the success app, whatever, 294420, it's fully installed, you can simply type in exit and it will shut down the Steam app properly. Okay? From this point, if we wanted to, we'll go into the server, and here are all of the server files. We could, because we don't have to worry about port forwarding and people joining our game, because we don't have port forwarding, so our server won't be visible to anybody outside of our network. So it won't be visible to the internet. It's only visible to people that are, let's just say, in your house using your Wi-Fi or using your network. That's going to be the only place that's visible. So you don't have to worry about setting up much of anything. You could literally, right here, this file, you could double click this and you could start the server and you're up and running. Now keep in mind, this by default is going to load up a save using xAWxGaming. So let's say you already have a game going and you want to continue with that save. You want to pick up exactly where you are, and that's the save you want to play on this server. What you want to do is you want to go to this serverconfig.xml, and you want to, for most of you, you're going to open with Notepad. I highly recommend you get online, download download Notepad++. It is a phenomenal tool. It makes looking at these files a lot easier, the way it lays them out and it puts things together. But you can simply do it with regular Notepad. So we're going to edit with Notepad++, and you're going to see a lot of really sort of scary information. Okay. The server name, you can name this whatever you want. When you go to search for servers and it says like, xAWxGaming server, that is where I change this. Okay. You can add a description. If you have a custom website, that's where you can put that. Server password, I would put a password on it. This is what, if you were doing this on an outside server where you want friends to be able to join, this is where you would put that password so that they have to put a password in to join your server. Server port you want to leave alone. This is what you would port forward to, or this is what you would use in port forwarding. I don't really touch any of this stuff. Max player count, you can change that. Reserved slots, out of the max player count, this is how many slots are reserved for people with a specific permission, and you set permissions later in a different file, which we're not going to get into that because that's way more advanced than what we're trying to do. Okay. Admin slots, you can set up predetermined admin slots. We're not doing any of that. Control, we're not even going to play with any of this stuff, just admin interface, control panel. For the purposes of what we are doing later on, you want telnet to be true, and you want to set a telnet password. Remember what this password is, because you will need this specifically in Mischief Maker. You're going to need this telnet password. So make sure you set telnet, leave it to true, set a password for telnet. If you don't set a password, change this to false, because you don't want people to be able to somehow access your server accidentally, because this port might be open or whatever. So if you're not going to use Mischief Maker or any other mod that needs telnet, set this to false. But for our purposes, we're going to leave it to true, and we would set a password. I'm going to set password as password, but obviously that's not a very secure password, but that's what I'm going to do for now. Scroll down a little bit more. Your server admin.xml, this is going to be in your save files so that you could set a server admin. I would recommend you get your Steam ID and you set yourself up as server admin. Chances are you already are if you're going about it with the process that we're using. EAC, you don't have to enable. I would actually disable this, because if you're going to do any other mods like Darkness Falls or Starvation or anything like that, you probably want this off. I typically turn this off. Most of this other stuff I don't really play with. I leave it alone. This is where things get a little more interesting. So game world right now is xAWxGaming. Whatever your save folder is called, maybe it's pre-gen 1. Maybe you used one of the new pre-generated maps. It's pre-gen 1 or pre-gen 2 or pre-gen 3. Or maybe you named it Chicago. Whatever that save file is called, make sure you put that in here, case sensitive, okay? Very, very important. Game name, you can name it whatever you want. Most people leave this as my name, but if you changed it, make sure you changed it. Game mode is survival. Obviously, you're going to leave that alone. This is where you set your difficulty. This is between Nomad, Warrior, whatever. It goes from 0 to 5. Take a look at how it looks in the GUI. I usually set it to 3, which I believe is Warrior. And then here you can change like block damage. This is where all the different like settings that you typically see in a menu that you can turn on and off. So if you want cheat mode on, if you want drop on death, you know, is it nothing? Is it everything? Is it only the tool bed? Is it only the backpack? Do we delete everything? That's where you make all of these changes. So keep in mind what you set on your save, because you're going to have to do the same thing here. You're going to have whatever you are, however you like to play your game, this is where you're going to do those things. But there's a couple of things that are super important. Thing number 1, turning on Telnet, setting up password. Thing number 2, if you want to use a pre-existing save, this is where you're going to put that information from that save, okay? Once you're done with all of this, you want to save it, okay? And then now I can load up my server, I can join it, and I can start playing. So I'm going to get 7 Days to Die going so that you guys can see this and see how I can join my game. So let me get this loaded and I'll be right back. One really quick thing before I load the game up that I forgot to mention. Once you're all done setting up your server config XML, make sure you double click this start dedicated.bat. You press any key. You're going to want to allow access. Your firewall is going to want to play with it. Press any key. Press any key. And here it's going to start loading up the server. So wait until this is all done. You'll kind of know. It'll say how much of the world was loaded. So just give this a few minutes. But this right here is the actual server running. So I'm going to let this run. I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done, and then we'll start the game up. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Once you see this right here, this last line says loading permissions file done. The server is up and running. Now we're back on 7 Days to Die, and here is, because you can see right here, this is LAN games. This is my game playing on this PC. So from here you can see all the different things that you can do: multiplayer, advanced, basic, blah blah blah. You're not going to be able to change any of this unless you change it in the XML that I showed you earlier, where you change the names. Notice I can't change anything. So if for some reason you forget, you're like, oh crap, I wanted to mark airdrops, right? It's okay. You're going to shut down the server. You're going to go into that XML file that I showed you. You can make the change, and then you can restart the server, come back in, join the game. You're good to go. Okay, so we're going to go in here. We can hit connect, and then you're going to see that it's going to start to load the game. And it's a xAWxGaming game, so it shouldn't take real long. But I'm going to pause the recording. I'll show you guys that it's running, and then I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. So this is the game. Now, keep in mind, when you're playing on a server like this, pausing is not a thing. As you can see, I'm paused, but the time is still going. Where when you play a true single player, when you pause, the time stops. So keep that in mind. If you, for some reason, like to pause, the time is going to continue to run. But as you can see, now I'm in the server that we just made. So this server is running on my PC in the background, and so is the game itself, 7 Days to Die. So in theory, I'm running 2 copies of the game. Now the beauty about this, and the reason it works, is the server portion of it doesn't have to render any graphics. It can just, you know, all it's doing is keeping track of data. It's just keeping track of your position, what you've collected, what, you know, your health. It's just keeping track of the data. So it doesn't have to render any graphics, and that's why I'm not experiencing any lag, any frame drops. I'm still doing, you know, I've got all this locked at 60 frames a second. Obviously, I could go higher, but my monitor can't do any higher, so it's pointless. But it's smooth. It's going great. So that's pretty much it. That's how you set up a server. If you want to run a server locally on your computer, for whatever reasons, if there's a mod you want to run that can only be ran on a dedicated server, that is how you do it. So now I'm going to exit the game, and then we're going to get into installing mods on this server, specifically the Mischief Maker mod. So let me get that all set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back. I have shut down the server, and I've exited the game. It's because we're going to make some changes. The first thing you want to do before you download any mod or attempt to install a mod is create this folder within the 7 Days to Die server files, mods with a capital M. Make sure you make that folder first. It's very important, okay? Once you've got that made, open it up. And in this case, we're going to do Mischief Maker, okay? There's a couple of steps involved in order to do Mischief Maker, okay? First thing you want to do is you need to install the Twitch extensions. So we're going to do that first, okay? I'm going to install this Twitch extension, which is Mischief Maker itself. This is what allows people to get this little window on your stream, and they can spawn in using bits, various zombie hordes. They can help you, they can hurt you, they can cast a spell on you, they can break your bones, they can teleport you. There's all sorts of different things they can do, and it's all customizable. So let's go ahead and install that. We're going to configure it, okay? And it's super simple. This is your channel ID. Keep note of that. You're going to need that information. Obviously, mine is grayed out right now. I don't want you to know my channel ID because I don't want you to install Mischief Maker on your computer and do things to me while I'm playing not the way I would want you to. Okay, this is where you can customize this. You can set a global cooldown. Some of this stuff has cooldowns, like if somebody does pull zombies, it'll pull the zombies closer to player, and then it has a 1 minute cooldown. But you can change the bit amounts, you can change the cooldowns, you can change everything. So you will be able to set a password. So make sure you set your channel ID and you set a password. I'm still graying this out just as a precaution. I suggest you do the same thing. Don't share your channel ID with anybody. Although I have a feeling your channel ID is actually public data. Okay, so that's one of the things you want to do is the Mischief Maker extension. So once you're all done with that, you can close it out. Okay, the other thing you're going to want to install is the Mischief Maker. There's a companion, and I have to find that one. Yeah, this Mischief Maker companion is the next one you want to install. The companion adds an overlay, so that what that'll do is when someone does spawn something on you, it'll actually do an alert on the screen, like this. Like it'll show, you know, who killed you or what was spawned. It's actually quite cool. And thank you to Voided Pigeon, by the way. Voided Pigeon is the guy that created this extension. He's stopped by my stream once and showed me exactly how this works. He actually spawned a horde of cops and strippers on me and killed me, and it was actually quite funny. So make sure you also install the companion. You can also configure the companion to show alerts, resents, curses, and if you want to turn any of this off, you can obviously do so. Okay, so once you got that, you've got all of your extensions installed. So the Twitch side of things is done. Okay, you want to go to download, and there's a couple of things you need to download. This version 1 for Windows, these are the mod files. So we're going to install that. We're going to download that. And then if you're using Mac, if you're playing 7 Days to Die on a Mac, download the Mac version. If you're playing 7 Days to Die on Windows, obviously download the Windows version. I'm using the Windows version. I've already got this downloaded, so I'm not going to re-download it, but you simply click it and it will download a tiny jar file. It's not a big deal. Really important, before you download this jar file, before you open the jar file, make sure you click right here and make sure you have Java 11 or higher. Click this link, do yourself a favor. I screwed this up the first time. I didn't do this first. So make sure you hit 11, hit latest, install that, okay? I recommend install it, restart your computer, and then come back and download this. Believe me, I had some headaches. I had to do like a bunch of weird crap. So just piece of advice, download this first before you download this, install this, restart your computer, then download it and run this program, okay? Anyway, we've got all that done. We can close this out. Now, I have my server files right here, and this is where the mods are, right? So we're going to go to my downloads here, and we are going to grab the Mischief Maker mod files, okay? Stop it. And you simply drag that into your mods, okay? That's it. The Mischief Maker mod is now on your server, okay? From here, you're going to want to start your server, okay? So we're going to hit Start Dedicated Server. I can close this out. It's going to do what it likes to do, whatever. And here it's starting. We're going to minimize that. Once it's done, okay, this is the other thing, that other file, the Mischief Maker 2.0. This is what it will look like once you've downloaded it and after you've installed Java 11. This is the actual Mischief Maker app that needs to be running on your computer in order for Mischief Maker on the internet to connect to Mischief Maker on your server, okay? So I'm just waiting for this to finish. It looks like it's almost there. I think we're good, okay? So you're gonna wanna open this up and you're gonna see some information. First of all, you've got your channel ID, which I will block that out. And if we go back to Mischief Maker, I want to show you guys something really quick. Installation. If you go back, when you get to Mischief Maker, you see this screen, okay? You have your channel ID, whatever you set your password, hit connect, okay? Here's my channel ID. I've got a password. I hit connect. Once it says connected, it is now connected to my Twitch account, okay? The next thing you want to do is your server. Now, in the case of this tutorial, you're going to leave IP or host as the 1.27.0.0.1. You're going to leave that alone. You're going to leave it at 8080. And then this is where that telnet password. Earlier I told you guys, remember your telnet password. This is where it goes. Okay, it goes right here. I'm blurring out this IP because this is the IP to our actual Against the World gaming server, where when I stream with friends, and I have this Mischief Maker app running, so I have a different server. I'm not doing this locally, but I wanted to show people how to do it. So leave localhost alone if you're doing this on the computer that you're playing the game on, okay? Leave the port alone. Remember the telnet password that you set in the config file I showed you, the XML. And then hit connect, and then it's going to connect to the server. Then this part you can't do until you're in the game. So start the game, join the server. Once you've spawned in, you can then select which player, and it looks for the players that are in there, which player is logged in. You select yourself, and then you hit enable. If you've got all green lights, you're good to go. And that's pretty much how it works, guys. I'm going to disconnect all of this because I'm not playing right now. So that's how Mischief Maker works. After that, people can jump on and they can spawn stuff on you, and they use bits, and you make a little bit of money. You can monetize your videos a little bit better. It's a lot of fun. Viewers seem to really enjoy it. So I hope this tutorial was really helpful for you, whether it was for Mischief Maker or for setting up a dedicated server or whatever. If it was, and this was helped you, please make sure you guys subscribe. Leave some comments if you've got questions. Leave some questions in the comments. That'd be great. Like, share the video with other people that are trying to set this up also. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, usually from 7 p.m. Central until about 9 p.m. Central. Make sure you stop by. It's xAWX Cuban Cigar over on Twitch. I also stream on YouTube. Stop by, say hi, let me know if this helped. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. I watched someone else using it, and I'm digging it, so I can't wait to see people completely screw me over. Ah! Oh my freaking crying out loud! Oh, you... Oh, he spawned the dirty cops on me. Oh, I got just my ass Hand it.